There was another seminal episode in your life that inspired you in much the same way that Paul Robeson did. You got your start on stage and singing in nightclubs, but in 1945, you played a jazz club called the Royal Roost and had what you describe as a life-changing experience for a few reasons. Can you tell us what happened that night in that club?
Well, I'd been a great fan of jazz, still am. And I was studying in a school directed by the New School of Social Research. It was a block and a half away from the greatest jazz center in the universe, which was a nightclub called the Royal Roost. Night after night, all the young students from the drama workshop at the New School went down to this jazz joint, and for a 25-cent bottle of beer, you could hang out at the bar and watch until the wee hours of the morning a parade of the greatest forces in modern music, modern jazz music. And night after night, looking at these artists, I just fell madly in love with everything about them. And one day, I had expressed my great difficulty in finding work as a black actor. Not much was around, and I become friendly with a lot of the musicians. And they had come to see me perform at one point in a play written by John Steinbeck called Of Mice and Men. And I happened to have had a role that required that I sing in the play. And the musicians saw that. Without much connectedness to anything like becoming a professional singer, one night I was talking to them and telling them couldn't find work. And one of them suggested that I should try singing and that perhaps I could get a job at the nightclub.
No training? You had no training as a singer?
None whatsoever, and no ambition as a singer. And I thought it was a lark and kind of an interesting play idea. But then it began to sink in. And Lester Young was the one who recommended to a man by the name of Monty Kay, who was the manager, that I should be given a shot. And Monty said, okay. What was my repertoire like? And I said, I don't have one. And he said, and do you play an instrument? No, I don't. And well, we have to really start from ground zero. I said, I'm afraid so. So he gave me a pianist by the name of Al Haig, which was one of the great geniuses of the day, along with Bud Powell and Thelonious Monk and others. And Al helped me bang out a set. And when I got up on the opening night, 2 weeks later, I was just supposed to have been singing with Al Haig. And as I walked on the stage in the early hours of that night, before I could open my mouth, Max Roach stepped up and sat in on the drums. Tommy Potter picked up his bass and got into it. And Charlie Parker came up and hung his horn on his hook. And once again, I was absolutely stunned that they'd all gotten up there. And that was my backup band. And the first time I ever sang, I was with Al Haig, Charlie Parker. A little bit later, Miles Davis stepped in somewhat reluctantly, but he didn't want to miss anything, and didn't miss much anyway. But this is how I was launched into the music business.
Some of the greats of any generation joined you in your initial appearance, and that caused you to make a decision about what you would do later in your life, that you would always try to do the same thing for young artists.
Well, the validation of these men and the generosity they showed me was deeply moving to me. It not only launched me and they validated me, and they validated me to the audiences and to the reviewers and the people who came. And I saw this other dimension to the power of art and the power of celebrity. And I just knew that any time I looked around and found somebody in need of a platform, I'd be there full throttle to help them get through. I used myself that way.